Welcome to Auto Trader. It's the end of the year, which means it's a time for reflecting, for reminiscing, for rehashing all your old content in new ways. Yes, that's right. I figured out it was the perfect time to rank all the EVs of 2024 in a tier list, because apparently that's what the cool kids on YouTube do. And when I say all the EVs, what I actually mean is all the EVs that we've covered on the channel this year, or at least the ones that I haven't forgotten about. Plus maybe a few EVs that I haven't covered yet, if I feel like it. There's no science here. We're working on a kind of vibes only methodology, if you get my drift. And there's also no science to the ranking process. That's important, right? This is totally subjective and it's my views. Probably, a lot of pettiness involved in there, a bit of vindictiveness. If you don't like it, you can fight me in the comments. I'm not gonna respond though, because you're probably wrong, unless you're agreeing with me, in which case you're absolutely right. And you can take this comment as a response to that comment. Anyway, let's get stuck in. Let's kick off with a big one. Tesla Cybertruck, maybe the biggest EV of 2024, definitely the most sharp-edged and probably the most polarizing, because in pretty much every important regard, the Cybertruck is completely stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense as a pickup truck, it doesn't make any sense as a car, and it's clearly got a bunch of quality issues. So yeah, logically, the Cybertruck is gonna be an F, right? But at the same time, it's also the greatest conveyance ever created by humanity. Don't argue with me, that's just a fact. Plus, you can use it to peel carrots. See? So it also saves you money on buying a vegetable peeler. It's a bargain in the process. It's an S. Live with it. Okay, Ford Explorer. The blue oval's answer to the Tesla Model Y. Super practical interior, decent to drive, and oh my God, I literally don't care. Our time on this planet is short and I'm not wasting it in getting invested in this car, I'm sorry. It's not even a Ford, is it? It's a Volkswagen. And also that launch color, kind of baby powder blue. No, just no. It offends me on a deep and personal level and I can't explain why. I don't have to explain why, it's my list, my rules. Ford Explorer, it's an E. I did warn you, this was gonna get quite petty and very, very subjective. Audi Q6 e-tron. This is Audi's Macan rival, and in my opinion, it's fine. It's just fine. It's a C. It's about as C as an EV can be. The very definition of C. SQ6 e-tron. Slightly faster, also fine, also a C. Lotus Emea. Now, this is a 4-door Hyper GT that makes nearly 1,000 horsepower. It's properly engineered. It's got the fiercest massage seats I've ever experienced. It's gonna be a smash hit, right? Clearly an A. Apart from one tiny thing. Yeah, the Emea is a very good car, but is it a Lotus? I mean, it does have a Lotus badge on the front, but is there anything else Lotus-y about it? No, not that I can see. Oh, and also one slightly bigger thing, the launch control tried to kill me twice. So for that reason, it's a C. Vauxhall Astra Estate. It's not another electric SUV, that's a good thing. The world needs more estate cars, and the Astra is a decent estate car, spacious, practical, all that stuff. But the one we tested, £45,000 for a Vauxhall Astra. Now, I'm not buying that. Like literally no one's buying that. Even Vauxhall agree, because literally a couple of days ago, they dropped the price to 40 grand. Well done. Still not buying it though. It's an F. Next. Porsche Taycan. What a car. Totally upgraded for this year, so now it's faster, more efficient, and quicker to charge than ever before. Basically, the Taycan will take you quite a long way, quite quickly, and then gorge itself on electrons when you get there. Absolute top tier electric car. But there's something else the Taycan does quickly, and that is lose money. Yeah, the depreciation is painful, and that keeps the Taycan out of S tier, and that means it's an A. Top work, Porsche. Next. Audi RS e-tron GT. Basically the same story as the Taycan. It's faster charging and better than ever before, which isn't surprising because the e-tron GT and the Taycan do share a lot under the surface. But I would actually say the Audi's even better looking than the Porsche. You're free to disagree, you'd be wrong, but you can disagree. It's another A. My generosity knows no bounds. Polestar 2 rear-wheel drive long range. A not especially memorable name for a not especially memorable car, in my eyes. Don't get me wrong, the Polestar 2 is totally decent. It's just not quite as totally decent as the Tesla Model 3 in pretty much every single regard. And more importantly than that, cup holder nightmare. Watch the review to see what I mean. Absolute shambles of a cup holder Polestar. It's a B. BMW iX2. Now, when I look back on my great drives of 2024, my week with the iX2 is not on the list. Let's talk about the way it looks. Second thoughts, no, let's not talk about the way it looks because I'm really not a fan. That said, while the iX2 might be subjectively unpleasant to behold, at least you can't argue with the quality. No, actually, you can argue with the quality because the car that we drove had a load of rust underneath the bonnet for some reason. It's a big F, a big fat F from me. F for ferrous oxide. F for the letter before the word ugly. Let's move on. BMW i5 Touring. Now this is more like it, BMW. I knew you hadn't forgotten how to make cars that weren't the iX2. The i5 Touring, fantastic. One of the best premium electric estate cars you can buy. Also, one of the only premium electric estate cars you can buy. Yes, you will need a PhD in computer science to make the most out of its many, many complicated features, but think of this as an investment in your future. You'll be able to call yourself a doctor or something. BMW i5 Touring, it's a B. Dacia Spring, the cheapest new electric car in the UK. I haven't driven one yet, but I am looking forward to it. That's not true. I haven't driven one yet, but I am going to drive it at some point in the name of selfless research. Now, delivering an EV for under 15 grand is a fine achievement. Well done, Dacia. However, a 1-star Euro NCAP rating is not a fine achievement. So not so well done, Dacia. D. Rolls-Royce Spectre. From the UK's cheapest EV to one of the most expensive. That's what you get with this channel, range. The Spectre is genuinely magnificent, opulent, luxurious, palatial, other expensive sounding words, and all that silent, abundant electric power fits the Rolls-Royce like a tailored glove. Clearly, the Spectre deserves to hit S tier. But it's not gonna, because those self-closing suicide doors just got on my nerves. And I am feeling particularly vitriolic today, so it's a C. Don't argue with me. I'll put you in F, the whole lot of you. All right, let's move on. Tesla Model 3 performance. What a machine. So fast, so competent. In fact, maybe my only complaint is that it's too competent, maybe? The Model 3 performance does everything so well that I found it a little bit kind of soulless, a bit cold. If Tesla could engineer in some interesting noise to kind of dial you into the driving experience a bit, then it could be an A. But as it is, I'm going B. Hyundai Insta. Now this is Hyundai's take on the affordable electric city car. It costs 23 grand. So you could say it's not that affordable, but it is a big step in the right direction. I really liked this car. It looks fun, it's practical, and you can turn the entire interior into a double bed. Would anyone else want to join you for a night in your South Korean mobile micro hotel? Probably not, but I'm still giving it an A. Well done. Audi A6 e-tron, nicely executed, not as pretty as the concept, B. Audi S6 e-tron, same as the A6, but faster and therefore better, A. Renault 5. I mean, just look at it. It's retro without looking all cutesy and twee. It's sensibly priced. They've nailed it. Clearly, this is A tier, maybe even S tier. Only it isn't, because the Renault 5 also has a baguette holder, which is cutesy and twee. And Renault, I don't want a baguette holder. I don't live in Bordeaux. I live in Bedfordshire. I know the bread holder's optional. I still don't care, right? Still inexcusable. Renault 5, get in the C. Next. Volvo EX90. I do hate that hump. The EX90 has this kind of growth above the windscreen where the LiDAR sensor lives. It looks like a cross between that illuminated bit on the front of a London taxi and some kind of weird implant. Really bothered me. Not least because you can't actually use the LiDAR for anything useful yet. But at the same time, everything else about the EX90 is great. Drives well, super quiet, refined. So am I gonna forgive the horrible hump? Yeah, I am. I might be a dictator, but I'm occasionally benevolent. as well. It's a B. The Vauxhall Grandland. I'm sure it'll be fine to drive, but Grandland, I don't think so. I can't bring myself to tell anyone that I drive a car called Grandland. It sounds like a northern theme park. I don't want to be that guy. What names did they reject? Like the Vauxhall Big Place, Vauxhall Huge Region. Now you're getting a D, and you'd be grateful for it as well. Vauxhall Frontera, better name than the Grandland. Therefore, a C. Am I being harsh to Vauxhall here? Maybe, but I'm okay with it. Next up, Hyundai Ioniq 9. See, I like this. If you want electric and you want 7 seats, I'm not sure you can do a lot better than the Ioniq 9. Maybe Kia EV9, which is also good. But because it's an electric 7-seater, it's got a tier list kind of ceiling of about B. It's a strong B for me. Same goes for the EV9. Porsche Macan. Do you remember when Porsche first slapped their turbo badge on the Taycan and everyone got all annoyed and said, oh, how can you call it a turbo? It's an EV. It doesn't even have a turbocharger. Well, Porsche haven't listened. They've made a new Macan electric turbo. Still no turbocharger, but it is absolutely nuts and a lot more turbo-y than the previous petrol-powered Macan Turbo, which did have a turbo, and I love it. If it was just a little bit cheaper, this car would be an A, but it isn't, so it's a B. Ford Capri. Haven't driven this one yet. Don't want to, because if I drive it, then I'll inevitably have to spend the entire time explaining to people why it's called a Capri when it obviously isn't a Capri, and also explaining why it looks so gormless. You know how some cars just have like this angry expression or a friendly expression? I would describe the Capri's expression as slightly, I don't know, just vacant. The lights are on, no one's home. C. Yangwang U9. We're going left field here. If you haven't heard of the U9, it's a 1300 horsepower Chinese supercar, which I haven't driven yet, but I cannot tell you how much I want to. I am jonesing for a bit of Yangwang. Seriously, the U9 does 233 miles an hour. It shakes its booty standing still. It jumps. And does that serve any practical function? No, it doesn't. Do I care? No, I don't. Clearly an S. I could drive this car and it could be awful, but the fact it jumps still means it's an S. Brilliant. Porsche 911 EV conversion by Everati. So I drove this a couple of months ago out in California, and the first thing to say is, it's beautiful. But of course it is. It's an old 964. Question is, does ripping out that signature flat 6 and replacing it with batteries and motors enhance the 911 experience? And the answer to that is no. Here's the thing. The engine was the most emotional and enjoyable bit of the 964 by far. When you replace it with something that is clearly not as emotional or enjoyable, then what you're left with is a car that doesn't quite deliver in the same way. And therefore, this one gets an F. And with that, we're on to our final EV. And it's a big one. It is, drum roll please, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. I know this car has had a lot of good press, but I don't see what all the fuss is about with this one. Only joking. Totally see the fuss. Trust me, the 5N is about as good as you hoped it would be. It's an instant legend, this car. A battery-powered B-road hero, a hot hatch EV that puts the fun into fundamentally better than most EVs, or even some ICE cars, believe me. Is it too soon to call it an all-time automotive icon? Maybe. But you know what I will call it? I'd call it a Nissan GTR for the electric era, and praise doesn't come much higher than that. I love it. It's an S. We're going out on a high. Lock the list, we are done. So there it is, the indisputable 2024 EV tier list. Every electric car definitively ranked, apart from all the ones that I totally forgot about. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments down below, and I'll tell you where you're wrong for thinking that I'm wrong. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.